Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Duayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.
Move it around, change it up, make it different. Like people seem to get stuck in this idea that, everything's in that spot, so it's got to stay there. But the best bathrooms are made when we move stuff.
Hello and welcome to Level Up with Duayne Pearce. My dream is to improve the residential building industry for all involved. Throughout this podcast, we're going to be chatting to all types of industry experts to make sure that builders, tradies and clients all have a fantastic experience. All right, so welcome back, everyone. So we're back in the shed. Today we're here with Travis from Sivart Constructions. I've known Travis for a little while now, but he's a top bloke and he's really starting to get on top of his business and get things booming along. So, Travis, I guess let's get started. Tell us a little bit of a background about yourself, how you got in the industry, and basically how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Thanks for having me too. I started out obviously like any kid in school, being told, you need to get a job and you need to pick a career. So I liked working with timber, so I decided to have a go at a traineeship through a group training. So I did a few different trades. I got to do tiling, plastering, painting, and then chippy work. And so I thought I'll go with carpentry, give it a go. So I signed up and here I am. So
rest is history.
Yeah.
So did you do it the traditional way, like went through an apprenticeship? And
yeah,
then,
I started with the group training. So it was basically sign up to the group trainer and then they send you out one of those, similar to All Trades, was a different company.
Yeah.
And they sent you out to different trades. So for the first 2 years I was sent to, complete pricks, they just treat you terribly, the whole time.
It's pretty hard with those training organisations. Like I know back when I had a really large subcontract carpentry company, I used them all the time, and it was great to get bulk labour when you needed it. But from an apprentice point of view, it can be pretty bad, because I've put on tradies that have done their time that way, and because they get chopped and changed around so much, they now we put our own apprentices on directly and they go through from start to finish with us. They learn all the concreting, steel tying, carpentry, all that type of thing. But some of those training organisations that have bulk apprentices can definitely, you can come out the other side with not a lot of skills. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, there's a few that'll get through it great, and they'll probably get put to really good builders and carpenters and get a really good learning out of it.
Yeah.
Others will definitely fall through the cracks. Like I was sort of lucky. For the first 2 years it wasn't great, but for the last two I got to work for an architectural builder. It was just me and he was the actual carpenter on site as the builder as well.
Yep.
So I learnt the same sort of way. I got to learn concreting all the way up to putting that last little screw into a door handle. I learnt all that stuff. He gave me a lot of responsibility and I had to learn really quickly how to build. So that was lucky for me. But there were a lot of people in the same group training who I know did not get the same level of detail in their learning. They definitely fell through.
You think a little bit of that? I really encourage, especially when we put on young guys, and especially now the way the industry is going. Like if you put in 120% all day, every day, you're told to do something, you get it done quicker than what the guy's expecting, you go straight back, you ask what's next. Like, do you think the guys that put in that extra effort will get those more full-time positions and get to spend more time with the builder? The guys that are sort of dragging their feet around, don't have a good attitude, and not putting in 120%, they probably will just get shifted around. Like they'll get used for a while. They're, I guess, a bit of labour.
Yeah.
And as soon as they're not showing that enthusiasm and getting stuck into things, the builder just moves them on to another, and then they go to another builder, another builder.
I mean, a builder wants someone on site who's going to do the work. And
if
they're not willing to even try, then they're not going to want them there. So they will just keep sending them back.
Yeah.
So if they're willing to, get down and get dirty and do the hard work, they'll get good jobs.
Like I'm pretty passionate about like people ask me all the time now, what advice would you give to anybody that's looking for a job? And like I used to say, just work your ass off and show guys that you're willing to do anything. But I guess I don't know if it's me getting a bit older and things, but for me, it's all about now. I can teach people the skills. So whether it's an apprentice, a young kid, or an older, even a tradie, I don't want to employ people that have a bad attitude or bad personality or slouching their shoulders down when they turn up for an interview. Like, I want someone with a great attitude that just wants to get in, smash it out, put in 110%. Because I can teach them the skills. Like, do you sort of think along those lines?
I think we've spoken about in the past about business culture.
Yeah.
And it can be like a cancer, because once it gets in, it just starts decaying everything. Everybody who's involved with that person, they bring them down. It doesn't really work the other way for some reason. You can't really, sometimes you just can't get that out of them. And maybe you can, but most often, it brings everybody down just that little bit, and then it starts to slowly decay until you get rid of it, and then it all gets better. But
so mate, moving on from your apprenticeship, and obviously you've come out of that, you've got your builder's license, and you've moved on to running your own business. Like, what have been some of the struggles, I guess, you've had getting to where you are, and what advice could you give for younger guys and older guys who've been doing it for a while? But what advice could you give to guys that because one of my big things is I'm trying to get across to the industry is don't be afraid to speak up. Like, we all, like, building is a hard game.
Yes, it is.
And so builders, tradies and clients, designers, architects, like, don't be afraid to speak up, like, collaborate, ask questions, like, learn off each other.
Yeah.
What advice have you got for guys coming through?
I think that speak out is a really big thing that people need to start doing. I mean, people hold in a lot and they think that they can recover on their own if they keep it quiet, and they might be dealing with financial stress or marital stress or trying to raise their kids. All sorts of stuff that people have to go through. And if they don't talk about it because they think that they can fix it themselves, it never works. And you see that so many.
I think our industry is just so male dominated, and like that was my problem for a long time. Like, as males, we tend to sort of be embarrassed and ashamed that we don't know what we're doing, or we're in trouble, or we can't handle situations, all that type of stuff.
And we're stubborn too. So even if our wives tell us, open up a little bit, it's like, nah.
Yeah, mate.
It takes a little while.
I think back to I obviously got to a turning point in my career where like a lot of people know my story, where I got to and I changed, but I do have to admit, every now and then, like, I got told so many times. Like, I got my wife works in the business, and Sharon, another fantastic person that's worked in our office for, I think, nearly 14 years now, 15 years or something. But it's funny because I think back, and like so many times they was telling me, you should be doing this, you've got to do this. And I don't know why. I don't know. I try and think about it all the time, and I think one part of it is I didn't understand, like, and especially with contracts and finances and stuff. I didn't do very well at school in those areas, and I didn't put a lot of time into them. And I think a lot of the reasons that I got held back and why I didn't take advice from other people was I was scared. Yeah. Have you had like situations like that?
I wouldn't say. Yeah, I mean, fear definitely holds me back. It slows me down. It used to slow me down bad. It'd stop me from even doing anything. I'd just procrastinate like crazy. Now fear sort of keeps me from making bad decisions, but I'm willing to move forward. But as far as doing what I need to do, I think everybody always needs work on that. It's a constant thing. You telling yourself, or other people telling you, you need to be doing this or A or B or whatever. But there's always that voice in your head is like, should I not? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'll think about it a bit longer.
A lot of it's being open-minded, isn't it? Like, I think that was definitely a big thing for me, owning it, like owning my problems, owning the fact that I was scared, owning the fact that I thought I wasn't educated enough to do more or to take responsibility. Like, and I guess changing my mindset as well from like you think about how lawyers and solicitors and that speak about things like it's black and white.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like you can't blame things. Like you can't say, oh, I didn't understand that contract or I didn't read that contract. Like if you're in the game, you're running a business, and you've got to own it. You've got to put some time and effort into understanding your contracts, getting your head around finances and all those types of things. But like you're running a really good show now. Like I see you on Instagram. You're pumping out some really cool stuff. Yep. What's like how do you find dealing with clients? Like, and what sort of advice could you give to clients that are thinking about building and renovating?
Well, my experience with clients, I've had some tough clients in the past, and learnt from that it's best to just be yourself. Like don't try to make yourself fit like a cookie cutter of every other builder. It doesn't work, and eventually you get caught out, and then you'll feel like a fool, and then the clients are angry because they think they've been hoodwinked. Yeah. So the key is just to be yourself. Like if you run your business a certain way, explain that, and be upfront about it. As soon as they understand how you run a business and they're willing to fit in with that, then it's going to go fine.
Yeah.
And as far as clients, they need to understand that every builder is different. They can't just send out a multitude of emails to 3 or 4 different builders and expect them all to be the same. They're not going to send you a quote or have a process that's all the same. The price is exactly what it should be. There's a process, and everyone has a different one.
Yeah.
How they first communicate with you. Some will call you, some will send emails. All of these different things is just how they found it easiest for them, for their business to run. So clients need to understand that it's not like shopping for groceries. Builders it's a relationship that you're trying to form, and you can't do that really quickly. Just say, I want this. That's not how relationships work.
Exactly like what you just said. Like a huge part of it is relationship, isn't it? Like it's that collaboration and feeling comfortable. I think a huge part of the problems we have in our industry is everything is so focused on price, and yet like our industry is so different. Like you can't go. I think a lot of people compare building a house or renovating to going and getting their groceries or going and buying a new car. Like you can go to 50 different car yards and you'll get basically the same deal.
Yeah.
The model of car might change a little bit, but and same deal. You go to the grocery store, like you basically have the same brands on offer. They're very similar prices. Whereas building, it's more than just the price on the piece of paper. Like every builder has their own business structure, has their own way of doing things, has different. They might have their own employees, or they might have all contract labour. Builders will all have different deals with their suppliers. As they'll use different materials. Like there's just so much that can vary. So like a big thing that I'm really passionate about is trying to get across to people. Like this, I guess, for builders and clients. Like from a builder's point of view, a relationship is incredibly important and powerful in your business. If you have a fantastic relationship with your client, with the designer, with the architect, with your subbies, all those types of things, it will flow through your business, and your business will be a lot better and comfortable and happier and all those types of things. But from a client point of view, having that relationship with a builder that you can trust and have open communication with and talk through things, and a builder that makes you feel comfortable that it's okay to ask questions, can make or break a job, can't it?
I think trust is one of the biggest things. If a client can't trust a builder, or a builder can't trust a client, the relationship's never going to go anywhere but bad. Yeah. And it's just that if you can't get that trust up front, if you have to work at it, it's going to take a long time, and usually by the end it's harder than it was at the start, because you've had to go through the stressful moments. It's like any other relationship. You're going to have your ups and your downs, but if you can trust that at the downs they're going to support you, whether it's one way or the other, then you're going to come out the other side okay.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people I think have the right idea. Like, so we get a lot of clients, and from what I hear from other builders, a lot of clients are now going to a builder to start with, rather than the designer or the architect or whatever it may be. And yet builders don't have a system or a process to handle it. So they say, oh, look, no worries, we can build your job, but why don't you go and see the designer and then come back to me? And they lose that opportunity to build a relationship, to be involved, like there's so much wrong there. Like the builder should feel comfortable enough to. And do you think a lot of it comes back to builders not, like we obviously do the pack process, we get paid as a consultant to be involved, all those types of things, but do you think a lot of it comes back to builders, like the old-fashioned ways, we've just been expected to provide so much free information?
Yeah.
And so, and I know from my own experience, I used to get quite pissed off about just constantly every day getting phone calls. Oh, can you give me a square metre rate? Can you give me a price on this? Can you give me the ballpark figure? And 9 times out of 10, I was working flat out all day, going home doing that at night and weekends, and you just feel so degraded and undervalued.
Yeah.
And I guess you end up taking that out on everyone, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it gets really painful because you're giving away what's most precious, and that's your time.
Yeah.
You know, you can always get more work and you always make more money, but you can't make more time. You've lost that.
Yeah.
And just because someone else has told you they want something from you. So it can be really hurtful, and business can go bad because of that, because you start thinking, well, is this all I'm worth?
Yeah.
And that's where the speaking out's important, because I'm sure there's 9 out of 10 builders are going through the exact same thing. Every afternoon, they're on site all day. Yeah. They're going home, they're sitting on their computer, and they're up until midnight quoting because that's what they've been told they have to do. Yeah. And it's just the cycle will continue. You'll never get out unless you quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know plenty of builders who have done that. They got stressed. They realised that they can't deal with it. They haven't had the solution.
Yeah.
They've probably looked for it but haven't found it yet. And then they've decided to give it in.
Yeah. I just like some of the real ancient ways that our industry has is just unbelievable. Like it shits me to tears now. You pull up at a set of traffic lights and you see a builder's ute or a trailer or a trade or whatever, and it's got this free quote, bloody stick it all over it, and I feel like getting out and just ripping it off. Like
I think they think that's a competitive thing. They think, well, if they're giving a free quote, I've got to give a free quote, and then the other guy's got to give a free quote, and that makes them competitive. But that does, again, just put it back down to price, because you're not giving anything as service. You're not giving them something to value. There's no value there if you're giving something away for free. Yeah. Because if it's free, it's worth nothing.
Yeah. So straight off the bat, you're setting an expectation with that client.
Yeah. Like this quote doesn't actually mean anything to me because I didn't charge you for it. That's what they're saying.
My time's not valuable.
I just spent 10 weeks, 4 weeks getting a quote together for you, but I don't think anything of it because it's free. Who cares? Yeah. Don't want it. That's how they view it.
But it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's how the client's going to take it.
Yeah. And look, I'm definitely on a mission to change that. Like a big part of, as you're aware, Live Life Build, and we do the pack process and things. But I think that it's such a mindset thing. Like I so many of the paths that I went down was simply that at all I'd seen growing up. Like being around family members that are tradies and builders, and then doing my apprenticeship, and then like pretty much being told, and like when I started working myself, and then sort of having a bit of a whinge every now and then with another builder or talking to a tradie or something, like everyone would sort of just shrug their shoulders and go, well, that's just the industry, mate, deal with it.
Yeah, that's just how it is, yeah.
And I sort of got to a point where I was like, stuff that. Like, just because they've done it that way forever doesn't mean I need to do it that way.
Yeah, that's it.
Because, there's, like, every other profession has sort of come up here and let builders and traders
the builders are still running like we're in the 80s. Doesn't make sense.
Oh, well, 1880s.
Yeah. Something like that.
It's pretty backwards, but so I guess like given like building's pretty stressful, there's a lot of stuff to deal with, and you have to, like, builders have to wear so many hats. Like what do you do to chill out? What do you do to get away from building?
I'm very much into my hobbies, so my wife would say that I've got too many, and I chop and change too much. So I sort of go through a progression of different hobbies and enjoy them for as long as I can until I find that the joy of it wears off a little bit. I'll find something else. So at the moment, I'm into full driving and getting ready to go camping. Got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so looking forward to taking them away on a bit of a camping trip for the first time. See how that goes.
Yeah, awesome.
But I think just being at home. I enjoy just lounging around the house and talking to my wife and just chilling out. So
Yep. So on that, like with your when clients contact you, like, do you have something that lets them know an expectation of your working hours and all those types of things? Like a lot of tradies
don't so much have something that well, I mean, my business hours are very strict on Google, and whenever you find our information, we have strict 7 to 5 building office hours.
Yeah.
So outside of that, my phone basically goes dead. I don't answer it. I won't respond to emails until the next morning.
Yep.
And that's sort of more self-control than it is, because clients will still try to contact you, which is fine. But yeah, we just, for my own sanity, I had to come up with a way to disconnect from it at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
I sort of just keep to that kind of thing. I might look at the emails. If I've got a bit of spare time, I'll quickly check what's there. If nothing is an emergency, I'll just leave it till the next day. That's
so
sort
many
of how I deal
tradies
with stuff.
and builders I think get sucked in because they think they've got to respond. They've got to I guess check on what's going on. They're if they don't take a call from a client, something bad's going to happen, or because they don't have, I guess, systems and processes in their business, they leave it till the last minute to chase an answer, and they need that answer for the next day. So they're chasing the client after hours, or they're letting the client call them after hours, all those types of things. So it's really it is setting that expectation, isn't it? Like right from the outset. This is my working hours. I won't respond to text messages, emails, phone calls after those hours, all those types of things.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been had my builder's license a couple of years, so I haven't had real issues with clients as yet calling after hours. But you get the odd emergency that they want to ring you about, leaking roof or possum in my house, and how do I get rid of it? I don't know, just stuff like that. So we've had things happen, and you sort of just got to shrug it off and roll with it. But yeah, we try to be upfront about that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And so, mate, tell us a little bit more about the work. What type of work do you do?
So mainly my main work is bathrooms and kitchens.
Yeah.
So we got a pretty good relationship with a kitchen company in Capalaba. So they give us some work every now and then, and we get them some work as well. So it's quite a good relationship at the moment. But yeah, my background is mainly full renovation work. But for 6 years, I did bathrooms for another builder as a carpenter. Yeah. So that's where I really cut my teeth learning bathrooms. And I really got a passion for it. I enjoy, it's all those little intricate bits and a real eye for things. So I like bathrooms. They're just a nice, simple thing, easy to look after, easy to manage. But yeah, we're always looking to do other stuff. So excellent.
Mate, is there anything that we missed? Any more advice that you think you would have for some? I guess. Well, let's start. What's a couple of bits of advice you give for someone that's young and wanting to get into the industry?
Learn as much as you can from other builders and carpenters that you admire. If you look at companies and you think they're doing a really good job, get to know them. Call them up, have a chat, tell them that you're interested, and you might find some advice from them, especially in the industry that you're looking at. So. Don't just go into things blind. Sort of do your research first, because I sort of got into building by accident. Actually, like I was doing carpentry, working for builders, and I just had a guy show up on site, and he goes, "You want your builder's license?" And I thought, "Why not?" Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do it anyway. But I'm very studious, so as soon as I was in, I was in. Like as soon as I made that decision, I was going for it. Yeah. So I'm not the type to just. I'll see what happens. Yeah. Once I make the decision, I was all for it. But yeah, do your research, figure out what you actually want to do, and understand that no industry you go into is going to be easy. There's no one job fits all. It's not like that. You got to put hard work in, and you got to work it out. Yeah. And all right, so then for a client, like if there's a client out there listening to this that's thinking about doing a bathroom, kitchen renovation, what's some tips? Give us 3 tips you'd give to those guys to make it a smooth job. Communicate well. So straight away, call the person that you want to work with and get an understanding of how they run their business, what they want what the builder wants from you, so that you can be ready. Because a lot of people think that when they go bathrooms or kitchens, it's just give a ring, they'll come out, measure it up and give you a price and then, let's go. But the process is a lot more difficult. You want to make sure you've got all your selections ready. You want to be sure you've got all your color selections done. You want to know what you're actually going to do with it. A style. Some people don't even understand like what they want to actually do with the room, whether they want to change it.
Just call you up and say, hey, one in your kitchen.
Yeah, people just, like bathrooms are a great area to change. Like people just replace, we would have a toilet there, replace it with a toilet. With a shower, we'll just redo the shower. Move it around, change it up, make it different. Like people seem to get stuck in this idea that, everything's in that spot, so it's got to stay there. But the best bathrooms are made when we move stuff.
Yeah.
And put shower
Obviously
on that
adds
side.
cost.
It does add cost, yeah. But it's usually not a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Because there's only small amounts of manoeuvring. It's not like you're moving, maybe don't move your bathroom from one end of the house to the other. That can be very expensive. But yeah, just think about your configurations and be willing to be flexible, because not everything's available all the time, and not everything works. You might have an idea, but it may not work. So
do your homework. So
do your homework. Definitely do your homework.
Yeah, I always tell people that the more time you spend up front, the better the project's going to run, the better the budgets, the price is going to be. Yeah. So you're basically saying like, do your homework, have an idea of the selections you want, and then do you get other consultants involved to help people with their finishes, or do you?
So that company that we work with closely, they have a design service as well. So we all usually send them to them, and they'll have a design fee and go through that sort of thing, change the room around, go through selections, and then we take care of the whole product. Put it all
Excellent.
together.
Well, that's pretty much it, mate. We'll wrap it up. But I guess if there's anyone out there that's wanting a bathroom or kitchen renovation done, then check you out. Sivart Construction Group.
That's it.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.